Play. We need to come up with something to do for the intro for this video.
Okay, I got it.
Think of anything.
I got it, right? I came across this book, and I heard this is what every other YouTuber uses for good intros that they should use. And they use these magic spells from this book, right? And it casts a spell on the audience to make them watch the videos. So we need to try this.
We should use it. Yes. Open it up. Let's
use this.
Let's see what we got. Open it up.
So it says we have to say this together to do that.
We have to say, wait, but what if we don't have magic powers?
I don't know. It doesn't say. All it says is just say this together.
Oh, okay. Well,
so
what do
we have
need
to say this
then?
together? It's right here. To cast this spell, you don't need a brainiac. What's up, everyone? We're the Hills Maniacs. Did it work?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't see any results. I don't see anything.
I don't know. Oh, maybe we have to talk more about the actual video.
Oh, okay, and then, maybe it'll work then. Okay. Okay.
Let's try that. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about and giving our thoughts on and doing sort of a review of Hocus Pocus 2, which premiered on Disney Plus. I think it was yesterday.
September 30th. Yeah. So when this video was recorded. Yes.
So it was yesterday, as of when this video is up. But it was obviously 29 years after the first one came out, and it's actually 29 years in the movie.
Yeah, I kind of like that aspect of it, to show the advancement of like the world while the Sanderson sisters were gone again, because at the end of the first Hocus Pocus they get defeated, and then they obviously come back in this movie. But right. I like that it shows the advancement, because every time they come back, it's like a whole new world to them. Like they're seeing technology they've never seen before and things like that. I kind of like that it plays into the dynamic of how they react to the world around them and stuff. Yep. It makes it really hilarious.
Well, and even with them being out of place and out of time, they still find a way to make it work.
Right.
And they use things from this time in order to allow them to be successful with the rest of it. And I kind of like that. Like, even, there's comedy bits, but if you look back if you've watched the original, you remember the scene where like they had to fly to find the kid or the book or whatever they were flying to find, and they didn't have their brooms because they came 300 years into the future, and their place was turned into kind of like a museum type of
which is a really bad idea. I don't know why people do that.
I don't know why they did that either, but they didn't have their brooms, so they had one broom, a mop, and a vacuum, and they ended up using those to fly. While in this one, it's a broom, a vacuum, I think,
or
some type of vacuum, or like a carpet scrubber or something.
One of those.
And then Roombas.
I love the Roomba.
She flies around on Roombas.
She's like skating really cool through the sky and stuff. Like, this one was funny, just as funny as the original one was, but I still kind of like the original one better, just because it was something different you don't see from like a Halloween kind of movie, especially from Disney either. So to see what it was originally, this one felt more like a parody of what the other one was to me. I mean, it still had different stuff in it, obviously. You had different kids that accidentally summoned the witches, and I did like that it gave us the backstory for the witches, though, a little bit more. Like, it showed them when they were kids in Salem, like, before she got the spell book and all that kind of stuff, and how she's slowly learning her powers, and then her sisters get the, it kind of gave us a flashback. The first, 10-15 minutes of the movie was all about that, and I kind of like seeing that, and I want to see more of that, honestly. That being said, though, I thought this movie was still a lot of fun. I was laughing the whole time. It is still like, if you want something to watch with your kids or your family or whatever, it's a fun Halloween movie. It's obviously from Disney, but it doesn't feel like a Disney Channel-esque movie.
No.
Like it feels like just a comedy spoof Halloween type movie that they only show on Disney Channel. This one, I guess, was on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I don't know if was the original in theaters.
I don't know.
Or it might have just been on Disney Channel at the time, but this one was only available on Disney Plus. I don't know if I would have preferred seeing it in theaters or not, or if it was worth going there. But I mean, it still had the same actresses playing the three witches and stuff. So that was cool that they didn't try to like. It wasn't a remake of the original. It was just a continuation, and I like
29 years after the original.
And I like that they stuck to that throughout the movie, and they still referenced the original one without really changing anything. Yes. Like there was nothing different about it. They made references to it, and those events did happen, and now we had it pick up here. So this was a proper sequel.
It also had like one of the main people. Ends up being a pivotal role in this movie in how they are able to bring the witches back, because he actually creates the candle that they light to bring the witches back, and it showed him. He was there 29 years ago in the cemetery. He saw the witches and saw all that stuff happen, and so he kind of got this fascination with them. And I think that's really cool that they played this into, like, he wasn't just some random guy that's just into magic, so he goes on this quest to bring the Sanderson sisters back. He wasn't, like, there was a reason that he was doing this.
And he wasn't actually in the original movie, so I like the way that they kind of put like a side-by-side sort of like him as a kid witnessing the events of the first movie, but the way they played the clip of the first one with
where the witches disappeared and stuff.
Right. So I kind of like how they did that.
I like how they follow up with Billy too, because Billy comes back in this one. Billy Butcherson, aka Winifred's apparently ex-boyfriend, even though he says they only shared one kiss. I don't know how that whole thing worked, but I like that they brought him back, and I believe it was the original actor that played him also. So that was kind of cool. He always just brought that sort of like comedy, because at first he couldn't talk because she sewed his mouth shut, and then when he could talk, then it was like he was just insulting Winifred the whole time. Yeah. And then even in this one, like he came back and he was still able to talk, obviously, so he was just insulting her the whole time afterwards, and then it was great. And I love the main theme of the movie too, that it was more than just about the witches being evil. I don't want to spoil too much for you, but it just, there was a bigger theme to the movie than just them fighting against the witches, and I kind of like that you can take a movie like this that's supposed to focus on like dark magic and witches and things, and not only make it a comedy, but also be able to teach some kind of lesson from it about certain topics that I don't want to spoil, so I'm not going to say anything else.
And like you said, I like that they didn't, or like that the first movie was about them they wanted to take the lives of children so that they could be young again, and then this one, she has a different spell she's trying to create, and certain other things have to happen for her to do that spell and stuff like that. And I like that they continued with, like, they still had the spell where they can only come back through the use of a black flame candle on Halloween night lit by a virgin. I don't know why that's a thing, but yeah, sure. That was the spell from the original, and they kept it here. So I like they continued the continuity, and it does feel like this is building its own little like franchise kind of thing. Because even, I'm not going to spoil it, but there is kind of a post-credit scene in this movie that maybe sets up a third one. And I would kind of like to see that. I mean, I don't know how far into the future it would be. Like, now they could do another one in like next year and bring it out and just say a certain amount of time has passed or whatever, but like, I know they actually waited 29 years. I don't know why they didn't make other ones a long time ago. Maybe they wanted to wait until they had more like technology to make the effects better or something, because the first one came out in 1993, but this one had, you could tell it had the more like animated magic type stuff, but it was still, it still felt realistic, at least.
Right.
I think if they were going to make a sequel or something, I think they should focus on the Sanderson sisters when they were younger, maybe, like when they're after they got the book, show them learning the magic and doing the spells that they've did until they were eventually hanged in Salem when they were really old, like we saw in the first movie. I kind of want to see the origins of the witches or something, do it like a backstory type thing, instead of going forward with it. And that way they could have these younger actors playing them without taking out of the continuity, without having to recast the characters because they're just younger anyways. I just think that would probably be a way to build on this world that they've created for Hocus Pocus. Without ruining what they've already done. They could have a couple movies or even a Disney Plus series with them as the younger versions of themselves, showing the origins of it and stuff like that. I think that would be interesting and bring me back to watch a third one,
I mean, for me, I don't think we need another one. Like, I kind of wanted a sequel to the original. Like, I talked about it for a while, that they should make a second one because I think it would be cool. And I like the way they went with it. I just don't know if they need to do anything else. And if they do, without spoiling the movie, I think I can say this. It shouldn't have the Sanderson sisters as the main people of the movie. Right. If they do. Because this movie focuses on other stuff that happens throughout the movie and other people. And I think that's what they should do. And keep the focus on other people in the future, should they do this. Have that, because they spent this whole movie basically building this up, and then for them to just kind of throw it away in the next one, if they made one, wouldn't really make any sense, because then it's like, why did you build that up in this movie? And why was that the main plot of the movie if all of a sudden it's just unimportant to the main series? So if something were to happen, I think maybe, if they do come back again, they should maybe pass the mantle in a way. Pass the torch to a younger generation, or teach younger witches how to do something. I think they should go that route. I don't think the Sanderson sisters need to be the main focus of it, because obviously we're not going to have Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy forever. They're already getting up there in age, so it's like they can't do this forever. So if they were to make a series or a show or whatever, and you don't want to recast a role like this.
I mean, you could.
So I think they should have it kind of like what they do in like all these other like movies, like the Avengers. When Cap passes the shield to Falcon at the end of Endgame, or like Tony Stark basically passes his stuff to Peter Parker for a while. It's like, or even his daughter. Like they can do that with this and just have it end the Sanderson sister story right there, but also have it continue without them in the future.
Or just don't even bring back the Sanderson sisters at all, and just have like a new threat of some kind. You'll see if you watch this movie, like based off the events that transpire in this movie and at the end of the movie and everything, you could see where we're going with why we say that like maybe the Sanderson sisters don't need to be in the next one or whatever, based off of what happens here. And there could be some kind of new threat that the other characters from this one have to face, or you just have all new characters again. Like I know the original one had the original cast, and now this one had these three girls that were the main focus of it, that were the main characters fighting against the Sanderson sisters and stuff like that. So like you said, that they could probably move in a different direction and still feel like Hocus Pocus. But honestly, the Sanderson sisters are they're the main characters of this show. I mean, it's the same as like Michael Myers is the main character of Halloween. Like if you had a Halloween movie without Michael Myers, that would just kind of feel weird. But honestly, I enjoyed this movie and I thought it was funny, and I'm glad that they didn't make it a full-on like remake of the original. Because if you look at, like, for example, Star Wars, like, Star Wars The Force Awakens was essentially a remake of A New Hope, just with some different stuff that happened. And they were trying to cash in on the successes of the previous trilogy of Star Wars and stuff like that. But with this, it was nice that they continued with what they did, and they weren't trying to redo it again. They didn't even sing the same songs in this one either.
Yeah, darn it.
We thought they were gonna they did burst out into a couple.
Just literally as soon
songs.
as they come back, just singing,
singing in the woods. I mean,
I've done that.
I'm glad they didn't try to redo because then it would have just felt like, oh, they're just copy pasting from the previous one. They didn't really have, and even the jokes and the humor and everything wasn't the same as the original because different stuff is happening in this one. So I kind of like that, and I hope if they do more in the future that they will do it in this way and just continue it and not have it as an actual remake, so we can still go back and love the classic one,
right,
and watch the second one and then any other ones that come out in the future.
Well, and then like you said too, they focused on a different reasoning for them doing their magic. Like in the original one, if you watched it, what they wanted to take the souls of children and live forever. By making themselves just basically de-age until they can stay young forever. And it's a different magic that they're working towards in this one. So the main plot of the movie is a lot different because they're not tracking down a child to live forever. They're tracking down somebody else for a different reason. So it kind of makes that a lot different than the original, and that's what I like. Like you said, they didn't redo the original. Right. They still have it to where if you watch them back to back, it's still continuity wise makes sense as two separate movies in the same story.
Right. But let us know what you guys think down in the comments section. If you saw Hocus Pocus 2, did you enjoy it? What were your thoughts about the original one as well? Also, go check out our review we did, I think, last year or a few years ago on the original Hocus Pocus movie as well, if you haven't seen that yet. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more.
Leave the scumbaggery at home, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
And don't light the black flame candle, ever.
Literally, ever.
Literally, just don't do it.
Don't do it.
If you see a black flame candle, don't light it.